The King of Kong documentary proves that video game scores and mullets are a very serious business. Everyone is out to set a new speedrun record or high score, so it's hard to keep up sometimes. You can play Kickle Cubicle until your thumbs are as thick as your neck and never come close to the master scores. But at least you'll have a good time doing it. If getting your name etched into the annals of gaming history is your thing, you can aim really high, but there are some records you'll really have a hard time beating. Turbo Mode Kill Screen in Pac-Man. Pac-Man Perfection is a combination of robotic timing, relentlessness, and adult diapers. The player's goal is to break the game by reaching the kill screen. That's a point in the game's code where the screen decays into random symbols, the result of a memory shortage after level 256. Glitching Pac-Man is the grail of competitive retro gaming, officially reached by only 7 people. There are a few modded games and apps floating around online that can start you off with the kill screen, but it's not the same as earning it the hard way. Good luck trying it in turbo mode, only 2 people in history have ever reached it that way. Fastest time in Super Mario Bros. Over the years, all kinds of players have scrambled to beat the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES in record time. Depending on whether or not you use the Warp Zone pipes to skip levels, you can have a very different time for your overall playthrough. In terms of clearing every level without warping from start to finish, Andrew Garticus was able to beat this iconic game in just 19 minutes and 12 seconds. On top of that, Garticus holds the Warp Zone record as well, beating the game in just 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Why bother grabbing the mushroom when you can just win, right? Mega Man X, X2, and X3 beaten simultaneously with the same controller. The elite Mega Man player known online as Agwawaf was able to beat Mega Man X, X2, and X3 with 100% completion in just 43 minutes and 51 seconds. While all 3 of those games have faster completion times, there's a twist to this particular record. Agwawaf was actually playing all 3 games at once with a single controller. His gamepad's inputs were used across all 3 games simultaneously, which allowed him to beat them all at once. Sure, the runs weren't perfect and he took damage along the way, but just think of how incredible it is to beat 3 games at the same time in just under 44 minutes. In fact, all 3 final bosses, endings, and credit sequences all happened during his playthrough at the same time. Most people can't even beat one of these games in under an hour, let alone all 3 at once. Just give up now, you guys. Longest MMO gameplay marathon in World of Warcraft. Hectorina Kinumi Iglesias is no stranger to setting unbreakable records, especially when it comes to role-playing games. Going by her online alias of Kinumi Kati, Iglesias played World of Warcraft for 29 hours and 31 minutes, starting on March 29, 2014, and finishing the next day. She set 2 Guinness World Records in that time, one for the longest video game marathon on a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, and the other for longest video game marathon on World of Warcraft. She also holds the records for longest video game marathon in a Japanese-style role-playing game, and longest video game marathon for any Final Fantasy title, playing Final Fantasy X for a whopping 38 hours and 6 minutes. And that's really way too much Waka for one sitting. The Legend of Zelda Extreme Challenge. The rules of the Zelda Extreme Challenge are harsh, like Ganon himself created it to ensure he ultimately wins. You have to completely skip getting the sword at the start of the game, but don't worry, it gets better. You also can't collect most treasures, you can't accidentally kill overworld enemies, and you can only use bombs and fire on bosses. Your quest ends when you encounter the final boss, who cannot be defeated without the treasures you've skipped. While you've certainly accomplished something, you'll still never know sweet victory. Only 4 people have accomplished the challenge in both the first and second quest modes. They didn't save Hyrule, but they've more than earned our respect. Longest gameplay marathon with a controller in Call of Duty. The Guinness Book of World Records marks 135 hours as the longest gameplay session of Call of Duty, but it comes with a caveat. The record holder was allowed to take a 10-minute break for every hour of play, providing some much-needed nap times. While you might think that's cheating, Guinness had a good reason to allow the breaks. In a separate attempt to set up a gameplay marathon record, a teenager died while in his 40th consecutive hour of Diablo 3. Indeed, spending 6 days in a non-stop war zone would destroy anyone's psyche. Mind you, this is the record for gameplay marathons with a controller in your hand. For a while, it was the longest gameplay marathon ever, but you won't believe what actually surpassed it. Longest gameplay marathon in Just Dance 4. Just hearing about this California school teacher's video game record is exhausting enough. Carrie Swidecki broke the aforementioned Call of Duty record by playing Just Dance 4 on Xbox 360 for 138 consecutive hours. Just let that sink in for a moment. Most people feel exhausted playing Just Dance 4 for 13 minutes, let alone nearly 6 days. Swidecki simultaneously set 3 world records while playing a dance game that requires players to move and just dance the entire time. By dancing until the 138-hour mark, she sets the world record for longest video game marathon of all time, longest marathon playing a dance game, and longest marathon with a motion sensing game. Even more impressive, by playing Just Dance 4, Swiecki dropped 80 pounds and raised $7,000 to support children's health-related charities. The world's largest video game collection. Michael Thomason might look like a regular guy, until you realize he's arguably the most dedicated hoarder and collector of video games and consoles that ever lived. In late 2013, Thomason won the Guinness World Record for the largest video game collection. We're talking 10,607 games and over 100 consoles. Thomason was able to sell his gargantuan set for over $750,000, but he's probably going to rebuild. How did he acquire such a library? Thomason has the connections, as he ran 7 different video game stores over the past 20 years and has been working at several retail game stores along the way. He even teaches college classes on retro gaming. Man, what's on the final? Explaining what the hell Dig Dug was actually about? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to see more videos like the one you just saw.